my name is Cansu, and I would put shawarma in my immigrant jam.
Holy moly cannoli! We are here at Immigrant Jam, the podcast. I'm your host, Lucie. We are back at Immigrant Jam, a podcast about all things immigrant, where I talk to the funniest, the coolest, the most amazing immigrants in town. Thank you for coming back. If you have listened to one or more of these episodes of this podcast, we love you so much. And if you're new, hello, welcome. We have an amazing guest today, someone that I have only known briefly, but that I love already so much. She's so funny. She's so talented. She is so much smarter than everybody else I know. It's Cansu. Cansu is a comedian. She's a neuroscientist at Columbia University. Ever heard of it? You freaky freaks out there. And Cansu grew up in Denmark, but her family is Kurdish. And so we're going to dive right into it, baby, because this is a Kurdish accent, as everybody knows. Cansu, welcome to Immigrant Jam, the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You've done Immigrant Jam, the live show.
Yes, I have. At Caveat.
Yeah.
It's an amazing show.
That was fun. We met like a year ago.
Yes.
Because you have only lived in New York for how long?
A little over a year.
Little over a year. I picked you up from the airport.
You did?
I just stand there and recruit people for my show. I'm like, excuse me. Hi, are you a comedian by any chance? Great. Can you come to my show in 20 minutes?
I could totally see you do that.
I know, me too. That's the scary part.
That would be a really fun program. Imagine doing that.
Reality TV show?
Like go to the airport and be like, tell me a joke right now.
Oh my God. Really? You get like a lot of people punch you in the face, I think.
No, because they're not New Yorkers.
That's true. That's true. So you moved here a little over a year ago from?
From the UK.
Right.
Yeah, so I was out there studying, living for a while, doing comedy, doing my PhD. And then I decided to suffer. So I moved here.
But you grew up in Denmark.
I did. Yeah, so I was born in Denmark to Kurdish immigrants from Turkey. And I was there until age 23. And then I decided to go abroad. And I went to California. And I was like, whoa, there's a whole world outside of Denmark that
Is California
I have not seen.
like pretty much the opposite of Denmark?
It is entirely the opposite of Denmark.
What's Denmark like for those people that don't know? And I actually have only been to the airport in Denmark. When I think of Denmark, I think of like unfoundedly happy people.
It's so the airport is clean, right?
Yes.
It's clean. It's organized.
And everybody goes, hi.
Right.
What is it?
Or hi. Yeah.
Yeah, you say hi.
Yeah, you just say hi.
or just hi. I don't.
Or they might not say anything. That's more Danish than saying hi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and that's pretty much Denmark. Organized and clean and efficient. That is Denmark in a nutshell. And that is the opposite of California.
Yeah.
Amazing public transport in Copenhagen. No public transport in California. Horrible weather in Denmark. Amazing weather in California. No friendly people in Denmark. Very friendly people in California. I would say Danish people are more earnest, like more real. Mm-hmm. Very superficial people in California.
Yes.
So it is like, the opposite.
Yes. Did you grow up in Copenhagen?
Yeah. Inner city of Copenhagen. Yeah, in a neighborhood that our government calls the ghetto.
The government calls it the ghetto?
Legally called a ghetto. There are ghetto laws in Denmark. There's no self-irony in Denmark. There's no understanding of like European history. No one even deals with like anything like recent European history and learn from it. They literally just call our neighborhoods ghettos, and they have laws to distinguish people in the ghettos from the rest of the country.
Such as?
For instance, if you live in one of those ghettos, your children have to go to institution from the age of 1 to learn about Danish values such as Christmas. Whereas everywhere else, people can choose to have their kids at home until the age of 6.
From the age of 1?
Age of 1.
That's like a baby.
Yeah. They want you to be, indoctrinated into the system. They're afraid
I mean, it's horrible. I'm laughing
it's
just because I'm picturing someone like yelling Christmas at a baby. And they're like, why don't you get it? Christmas, say it. And the baby's like, what the fuck?
like, I don't even know how to speak, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Relax, Danish person.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
So did you have to do that?
Well, it only got introduced back in like 2018.
Okay.
So, most of the world tries to get more progressive, but obviously Europeans, they just go back in time.
Is the government pretty conservative then in Denmark?
It was when the laws were introduced. They were right-wing, like far right. And now we have a social democrat government, but social democrat in the way that Kamala Harris is social democrat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
like, not at all.
Yeah. So your parents were refugees, you said?
Immigrants.
Immigrants.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandfather was one of those people who got invited over from Turkey to work in labor. So, during the Cold War, they didn't have enough people to work in the industries because that was like growing so much, the factories and stuff. So they made a call to people in Turkey and Pakistan to get laborers over. And then all these men came out to work and they were like, life here is good. I'm going to stay here. So they married like a bunch of like white women and then divorced them once they got their papers and brought their families over. These fucking fuckboys,
That's what your grandfather did?
Yeah.
And
I don't know if he actually married someone, but he got permits to stay and bring his family.
did he already have your dad or your mom? Or?
My mom, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he had like 10 kids back in Turkey. He just left them and was like, I'm going to go to Europe and work. And I think he just wanted to leave Turkey. So then my grandmother had to deal with the 10 kids. How insane is that?
That's insane.
10 kids.
10
yeah.
kids. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he came to Denmark, was there for a few years, would send money back, and then eventually told the Danish government that he has a wife and kids and wanted to like bring them over. And that's what happened all over Europe.
And they were like, as long as they know about Christmas, they can come.
Back then, Danish government was socialist, like proper socialist. They were like, they were welcoming people. My mom says that when she arrived to Denmark as a child, people were welcoming them at the train station with like Danish flags and stuff.
Wow.
Like giving them pastry and like welcoming them to the country. Whereas, could you imagine that now?
No. I mean, they did that in Germany. They were very
With the
proud that they
refugees,
did
that's
that
true.
with the refugees.
Yeah.
But yeah. Can you explain a little bit for people listening? Because, I grew up partially in Germany, I know about the Turkish and Kurdish history.
Right.
But I think a lot of people here don't know about it at all. Can you explain a little bit about what it means being Kurdish in Turkey and just in general?
For sure. So Kurdish people are a minority in the Middle East. We're like an ancient people, go back 5,000 years. But we've never got a country because, the nation state is sort of a modern concept. But when the Ottoman Empire fell, Kurdish people were living in that region where they are now, between Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. So like a very peaceful region of the world, right? And then when the Ottoman Empire fell, the Europeans were like, okay, we're going to divide this into 5 countries. So Syria for the Syrians, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Kurdistan for the Kurdish people. And then they were like, psych, we're not going to do that after all. So they just gave the Kurdish region to those 4 countries. So they just literally just split it up. So around like 15 to 18 million Kurdish people ended up in Turkey, and some in those other countries, and basically have been persecuted ever since. Also got persecuted a lot during Ottoman times because, there are a lot of religious minorities within the Kurdish community because it's such an old people. We have, religions that predate Christianity and Judaism. So all of those minorities have been persecuted for a long time. So that's sort of the Kurdish history now, Kurdish story now is that there are people who want sovereignty and they want, an independent state. And then there are countries that oppose it because the region where Kurdish people come from is very resourceful, has a lot of like natural resources. So that's not going to happen anytime soon.
How many Kurdish, what's the population that's left in Turkey of Kurdish people now? Do you know?
I think it should be around 20 million people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the Turkish country is is 80 million. So it's a substantial amount of people. And in total, the estimate is around 40 million Kurdish people, making it the largest ethnic minority in the world without a country.
Wow.
You know, like Denmark is a country of barely 6 million people and has a country, you know, and a national identity. And, you know, whereas Kurdish people, we just never got that country.
Did you grow up with like a Kurdish identity and like Kurdish traditions, or did your parents and grandparents, if they were around, you know, instill Kurdish culture or pride or, you know what I mean, awareness in you?
I think there's a lot of self-hate in Kurdish communities because what they did in Turkey was to sort of put down the Kurdish identity. So Kurdish was illegal when I was growing up. The language was illegal. The names were illegal. You couldn't say in Turkey. You couldn't say you were Kurdish. So my parents grew up in a time where this was reality. My dad went to schools in Turkey where every morning they would have to do the national anthem, and the first line of the national anthem is, "I am Turkish. I am right." You know, imagine living in a country where this is like this is what you're learning every single day, that your identity is wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
So my parents never bothered teaching us Kurdish. We picked it up from our grandparents. They would speak to each other. They would speak to our grandparents in Kurdish. So that's how we kind of picked it up, because Kurdish was illegal, you also couldn't teach people Kurdish. So we kind of grew up not learning about it. And then when I was 12 years old, we moved to this suburb in Denmark where there was a big Kurdish community. So all of a sudden I was living around all these people, and they would ask me, so where are you from? And I would be like, Turkey. And then they would speak Kurdish to each other, and they would say things about me. I'd be like, I understood what you said. They were like, why would you say you're Turkish? It's like, and that's when I sort of realized that there was a difference between being Turkish and Kurdish. So it was that age. So those years are really formative for me, from like age 12 to 15, where I lived in the suburbs, where there was a lot of pride. So it's only through other people that I actually got to understand what that meant. Yeah.
And then did your parents kind of resent that you were finding your Kurdish identity? Did they not want that for you?
My mom hates it. My dad loves it. I'm much more similar to my dad anyway. But my mom, I think she has this idea that it makes you a target to be like informed about your heritage and to be outspoken about it. She thinks that, you know, the Turkish government will kill me one day. This is literally, she has this fear, which says so much, right, about the situation. Like, why would you have a fear like that? Who am I to the Turkish government? They're not going to care about me. But she thinks that just by being proud and being vocal, you put a target on your back. So she has that huge fear.
And is that important to you now? Is it something that you feel like in what you do? Is that something you have in the back of your mind that like, oh yeah, I'm representing Kurdish people, or you know what I mean? I want to make that part of my like public identity too. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, I'm very proud of my Kurdish identity and our heritage, and the fact that, you know, they've been trying to get rid of us for like thousands of years, and we're still here. And you know, throughout history, every time there's been an attempt of just genocide, eventually we just like got back up, and you know, the fact that we still have an identity and we can still proudly say that we're Kurdish, I think that says a lot, and I'm very proud of that. And I think given that so much of Kurdish people in Turkey still can't say that they're Kurdish, because the word Kurdish is sort of equal to, it's used as a slur in Turkey. It's used to like put people down. It's used to, so for instance, in Turkish media, it will always be, because there's now a militia fight, right? So the Turkish military fights Kurdish militia. And these are like, they're labeled as terrorist organization by Turkey, but by some country, for instance, Australia, doesn't recognize those militias as terrorists. So it's very contentious. So because these groups are fighting, you'll always see in the news, you'll see stories like Kurdish terrorists kills soldiers, Turkish heroes. These stories like that, or like always using the word Kurdish with terrorism, with evil,
right,
and always against like some sort of hero. So obviously when that's what you see in the media, right? You don't want to be.
Yeah, it's villainizing.
Yeah, you
them,
don't want to
yeah.
be that person. So to be out of that space and be able to say you're Kurdish and be proud of it is such a privilege. So I feel like it's almost like a responsibility that you have to do it.
Yeah. I remember being in Germany when we already lived here. I must have been like 12 or something, and there was a protest. And I'll never forget, I remember the chant, and they were going, Viva la Kurdistan, befreit Öcalan.
Wow.
Which means like, Viva la
Yeah.
Kurdistan, free
Öcalan.
Öcalan.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. It's so strange that like I was like looking at it and I didn't know much about it, but like
Right.
it totally stuck
Yeah.
with me. And I think I asked my dad about it and then he explained a little bit of what was going on. But like I'll never forget that chant.
Yeah.
And like them on this like bridge in Germany. Obviously there's a lot of Turkish people and also Kurdish people in Germany. Do you feel that so you understand Kurdish but you don't speak it well?
Yeah.
Is that, do you feel that you're kind of like cut off from the identity because of that in a way?
It makes me really sad. It
Yeah.
does. Because it's not something I'd be able to teach someone. Like, if I was able to have children, I wouldn't be able to teach them Kurdish. So that I feel like is a big loss. I generally in my life, I'm not around a lot of Kurdish people now. But when I was very aware of it, that I couldn't like communicate with people as well as I would have wanted to. I remember once we were on an airplane with my dad going to Turkey, and right next to me there was an older Kurdish man from like wearing the Kurdish outfit, like very like clearly proud and
What's
Kurdish.
the Kurdish outfit?
It's like shalwars, the like very loose black pants, and then they'll wear like a white button down and a vest.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I thought you were going to be like, a Nike tracksuit. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so a button-down vest.
Button-down vest and like just very proper, but those are sort of considered like the village Kurdish men look,
Right.
male look. But he was sitting next to me, and I was talking to my dad in Turkish, and we were just talking about whatever. And then this guy started talking to my dad, and my dad spoke to him in Kurdish, and then he was like, "You're Kurdish and you speak Turkish to your daughter? You should be ashamed of yourself."
Oh, no.
I know. And my dad was so shamed by
What did your
it.
dad say?
He was like, "Yeah, I know you're right." That's all I said.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
At least he said, I know you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were like, I understood that. Again, stop talking about me. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel Danish growing up in Denmark?
I felt, for a short time in my life, I did. And I started feeling more Danish when I moved abroad, actually.
Interesting.
Which is interesting,
When you
too.
moved to California?
Yeah.
How
And
so?
Because there are things about Danish culture that I love, and just concepts of like socialism and like the welfare state that is so efficient and high functioning that I love it. And I think going abroad made me feel so proud that
And
Denmark,
Christmas.
and Christmas, yeah, that's the main thing about Denmark. I do love Christmas, Danish Christmas pastry and
They
chocolates.
succeeded. They succeeded.
Did it? Oh,
They succeeded.
The thing is, like, I used to be a public speaker in Denmark before I even got into comedy.
When you were 3. Sorry. This woman has a PhD. She's a neuroscientist. She's a fucking stand-up comedian.
Oh, God.
But she's only 12 years old. You were a public speaker. Sorry.
Yeah, I was a public speaker. And the whole purpose of this was to let people understand this concept of hyphenated identities. So like we're born in this country, but we're not you. We're also not them. We're somewhere in between. We're like a hyphen, right? Like, and Americans use the hyphenated identity better than most places in the world, I think, because you have to. Everyone here has another identity.
Right.
But in Europe, they conserve their original identities.
Right.
It's like the white European identity is so conserved. So sort of like introducing people to this whole new world of, hey, it is possible to be both Danish and something else. So I would say I'm a good mix of like Danish culture has really seeped into my life for sure. Like I love Danish bread, I love Danish pastry. And I says,
And you're
that's
like,
it.
and
That's it.
that's where it ends.
I really thought the list was going to go on, but no.
Bakeries. That's
This says a lot about me.
yeah. You know, it's interesting. In German, there's like a relatively new term used by kind of like racists and Nazis and right wing people, which is Bio-Deutsch. Bio means organic. Biological, organic. That's what you say if, like, you know, a vegetable is organic. You say it's bio. So they call it
Holy shit.
organic German.
So they just replaced the Aryan with bio.
Pretty much. So if you know, your parents were born here and their parents were born here, then you're Bio-Deutsch.
Oh, wow.
And otherwise, you have a migration background. Migrationshintergrund.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's very typically European, I think. This like concept of having a word like that and separating people in that way is super European. But I think, you know, in a way, I don't even know if it's possible for the children of immigrants to like really have like a solid national identity ever. That's what like I ask myself that, especially talking to so many people on this podcast about that, you know, like, do we ever find that? I don't think so.
Yeah, there was a time in my life where I felt national identity in Denmark, where I felt like, all right, this is the country I live in. This is the country I want to create space for myself here. And I was very idealist. That's what brought me into public speaking. Was, you know, we live here, so I might as well do my most for this country. Eventually, so once I went abroad and I started, there was like election time in Denmark, and I was following the debate online, and all the rhetoric was so negative and it was so racist. And usually you have your like daily interactions and your daily life to sort of offset all the racism you see in the media. But I wasn't having any of that because I was abroad. And I just felt this like immense loss of national identity while I was abroad. Like it brought me through like 4 months of depression to get on the other side of this, because, you know, you're young and you just lost your home. So I do think that in an ideal world, the national identity concept should not even be there. Like, what is the nation state is so unnecessary.
I agree totally.
And when I got to the other side and I matured up, I also think that I started seeing the advantages of not having a national identity. I definitely don't have one now. I have like Kurdish pride. I even have Turkish pride too, because, you know, I love Turkey as a country. I love, you know, my family lives in Turkey, so I still have a strong connection with the country. And obviously, it's like my ancestral land is within that space too. And then Danish pride. So I now like this idea of me just having like pieces of the world as a part of me.
So what are the advantages for you?
The fact that I can actually, the fact that I can be proud of all these different things. I can be like, you know, there's a part of me that's Danish. There's a part of me that's Kurdish. And however much I don't want it, there's probably a part of me that's also Turkish. I lived in the UK for 6 years. I have a bit of like I have a bit of British pride in me too. Not of like Great Britain kind of thing, but something that I feel like when I think of the UK makes me feel fond of it, because it was such a, you know, substantial time in my life. Those 6 years I lived there. So I think that's the advantage. Like, I don't need to go to war for any country, because fuck that shit. I don't have a national identity.
You said you would put shawarma in your immigrant jam?
Yeah, that would be a weird jam, but totally.
That's
shawarma.
okay. Can you tell people what shawarma is?
Shawarma is kebab, like doner kebab.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, originated, we'd say in Turkey, but I'd also say in Kurdish Turkey.
Well, and some people think it originated in Berlin.
I mean, that's just nonsense, because
They say the doner.
The doner kebab, like the
doner
sandwich.
Kebab, the sandwich, yeah.
Not the
It's
concept.
obviously a joke. No, of course.
Right. And
But some people might not know at all what it is, so
Right.
it's a big meat spittle?
yeah, what do you call that?
Is that a spittle?
a spit?
It's a spit that rotates. That
Wait.
spit that rotates around a heat source that cooks it, and then it's finished
Right. A
Yes.
spit.
on the griddle.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Once
why
it
I said
comes off.
spittle, because
Yeah.
I combined
Griddle.
spit and griddle. Hi, I'll take that spittle dish you have here. Get out, you foreigner.
What is that? What's that? What is
That's a chicken, and I have it here because I love it. But also now I'm thinking every time I say something ridiculous, I like mishear a lot of stuff, and I feel like this chicken should go off every time. Spittle? That's not a
Spittle.
thing.
Yeah.
I was 8 when we moved here. I have no excuse not to know how to say shit anymore.
I mean, you don't have to know all the words, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Americans don't know half the words.
No. Yeah.
And the last time I saw you, which wasn't that long ago, it was like a week or 2 ago, you were saying that you don't like New York.
I hate it. It's
Okay.
a garbage city for garbage
Oh my God,
people.
this is the theme today. A garbage city for garbage people. I'm having a hard time not kicking you out right now, but I'm not going to because I believe in tolerance and the acceptance of all
You
opinions.
should teach that to all the other New Yorkers.
No, that's not true. We're very nice people.
Is it?
Who was not nice to you here?
Just everyone on the subway.
But what do you mean on the subway? What are you looking for? A friend on the subway? You're trying to go somewhere. What's the problem?
I think I'm just like...
What happened to you?
No, I think I'm just so jaded being in New York, and people are rude here. They are.
I
Like, I moved here from the UK.
That's not New Yorkers, though.
Maybe you're right.
Like,
Maybe
tell
that's...
me one interaction where someone was rude.
Oh, like the time someone tried to push me in front of the tracks on Times Square.
That guy was crazy and not
Yeah.
rude. That's not rude.
That's not rude.
I love that. You're like, excuse me, that was rude. He's like, nah. You're like, no, okay.
I mean, it's rude that guy is there in the first place.
Okay,
like-
but that's a different definition of rude. But
Yeah,
yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like someone should care about this. And I know people do care, but obviously the system's messed up. But for instance, okay, I was my first week here. I think literally like 2 days after I arrived, I go to Whole Foods and I don't understand the
Christmas Day.
queuing system.
Yeah.
Right? Like why are there colors? I don't get it.
No, that's only Whole Foods, though. But
Right.
yes.
So I went up to there was no one in front of me.
Yeah.
The till open, and I walk up, and this guy goes, "Excuse me, it's not your turn," and he yells it out loud.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." And then the cool thing was this lady behind. She was like, "Calm down, dude."
Exactly. See?
I think that was.
See?
I thought that was cool.
Don't
But-
tell me in Denmark people
she's
wouldn't
also
have
rude,
jumped
right?
on you for cutting the line. In Germany, are you fucking kidding me? There would have been a mob.
Yeah.
Would have fucking clubbed you to death.
But I
for
also
cutting a
think
line.
Danish people are rude. I said that. Danish people are rude.
But at least you get that here. The lady who's like, "Hey, go fuck yourself, calm down." And the beautiful thing here is you can turn to the guy and go, "What's your fucking problem? Like, there's only 2 people here." You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right,
you
right.
can say that.
See, that's the thing. I'd never do
And that's okay here.
I lived in the UK for a long time. You know, you just passively say,
But that's where you
sorry.
Have, but that's where you have to remember the 90s and En Vogue. What was that band called?
On Vogue?
Yeah.
Is it
Free
On
your
Vogue?
mind
Free
and the
your-
rest will follow.
Gosh, wow. How'd you
You
just
gotta-
pull that out like that?
I don't know. But you got to free yourself and just let it rip here.
I
That's the
don't-
beauty of New York.
Yeah, I believe in a society where people are just courteous to one another, and you keep things bottled up. Go deal with it in your own time. Don't bring everyone else down. That's how I feel about it. But
Okay, but can I say something and then we can move on? I think that...
you can yell at me if you want.
No, I think that New Yorkers are very courteous. I just think they're very direct, right? And I actually think that being like the European form of rudeness, I've never been to Denmark, so I don't know. But I know that they're similar to Germans, obviously. They're like Nordic people, you know, it's like this like distance that people have.
For sure.
The way that Germans are rude, I feel, is such an level of intimacy that like offends me because I'm like, I don't know you. Why are you being so rude to me? You know, like, why can't we keep a level? Like here, at least, the Americans are like, "Hi, how are you?" You know, and maybe they'll go, "Excuse me." But this level of rudeness in Europe, like in France, in Germany, I feel it's very intimate. Like, I'm not rude to people I don't know like that
Right.
for no reason. Like here, we're rude for a reason because you're in my way, because you cut the line, because,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I also do dislike how people are in Denmark
Yeah.
and in Germany and in France.
Right.
Because they are just aggressively rude. And
Aggressively rude.
Yeah,
It's very intimate, I feel like.
it is. I see what you're saying.
In Germany, I always feel like, what the fuck is happening? Why are you like, I just walked into the store.
Right.
You know, and you go, hi, and they go, we'll be with you in 1 minute. And you're like, oh my God, what just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I still think
You
it's
still
a
hate
garbage
New York?
city. Okay, let me put it like this. I would want to live in nowhere else in the U.S.
Right.
That was an excellent way of putting that. That sentence was very,
No, but
very
look,
strange.
I understand what you mean too. It is like, it's a hard city to live in.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see so many homeless people and crazy people. And like you said, nobody gives a shit. And garbage and just like, and then pay taxes.
And then pay taxes.
Yeah.
That upsets me more than anything
Yeah,
here.
no.
Like, what am I paying for?
Exactly.
What are we getting
Nothing.
back? Nothing.
No,
Come on.
you're paying for Eric Adams' zero bond membership, which is $5,000 a year or some bullshit like that.
Oh, man.
But why did you move here?
I moved for work and for comedy.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you do at
Yes.
Columbia?
So I'm a neuroscientist, and I work on understanding how schizophrenia sort of develops, how our brain is affected during development that could lead to schizophrenia. So, for instance, we don't quite understand how schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, how that really manifests and what really causes it. But we know that there are some genetic factors that's been shown to be to contribute, but we don't know what they do. So I'm trying to figure out if these genetic factors, we cause them at an early stage in development, in brain development, could we would that cause schizophrenia, and would we be able to prevent it?
How do you find that out? Like what's your
Yeah.
day-to-day thing that you do?
My day-to-day thing is looking at neurons in the brain. Actually, just extract neurons from like a mouse brain, and then
How do you
culturing them.
extract a neuron from a mouse brain?
You cut open the brain and you take out the neurons. That's really the only way. Yeah.
How do you but you can't you take out the neurons, meaning
You kill the mouse, and then you cut open the head. You take out the brain, and then you chop off the part of the brain that you want, and then you put that on we call them dishes. So they're for like cell culture. So you put those on, and they just grow in a monolayer. So instead of being like a tissue that's like an organ, it's just like one layer of cells. And then you can sort of look at those cells with microscopes and whatever and see if development happens. Or you just look at the brain as well. You just like slice the brain up in like very, very thin slices. And
so these are schizophrenic mice?
they're not
Sorry,
schizophrenic.
I'm laughing, but that sounds so crazy.
So there are schizophrenic mice.
How does
model.
that manifest in a mouse?
They just sort of, so
It
you know
thinks
how
it's a rat. It's like, I'm a giraffe. Get out of my way. You're like, no.
it's kind of sad though, because they don't. So you know how with schizophrenia we talk about positive symptoms and negative symptoms. Not positive as in it's a good thing, but so positive as in you hear sounds or you talk to yourself, things that are like an added
Tangible.
thing.
Oh, okay.
An added thing, right? Like sounds, for instance, hallucinations. They're like an added thing. So when we treat schizophrenic people, we give them drugs to remove the positive symptoms. So then what they're left with are negative symptoms, which are like sort of depression, like social anxiety, a bit more like closed offness in general. So you see those symptoms in a mouse. So you'll see that they'll be timid, they'll be like afraid of everything around, they'll be in a corner just like depressed. It's really sad.
Oh my God,
it's
a
really
depressed mouse? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
It's weird. Yeah, it's sad and weird. And so that's why mouse
listens
work.
to emo music. It's like little headphones.
Oh my God. This is really funny, but there was a point during my PhD where the mice I was working with were not breeding well enough. Because the mouse had some symptoms of like disease, so it wouldn't breed with the female. And my boss, my professor back then, was like, "Just put on some Barry White and dim the lights." I was like, I did not want to know that that's what works for you.
Oh my God, that's cute.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was he cute? Is he single? No, I'm kidding. Wow, that's fucking wild.
It's
Do you
kinda
love
crazy.
this?
I love getting answers. I don't like doing the work. Like, if someone else could just give me the data and I just look at the data, I'm like, this is interesting. And here's the next experiment we should do. I'm a problem-solving person, so I like just like look at a problem and be like, how do we address this problem? How do we go about this? How do we systematically ask these questions? So that I love, but I don't like doing the work. So I would say I'm not a great closer. I'm just.
But isn't science all about always uncovering more questions?
Yes, it's a never-ending thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So
love that.
Are you a masochist?
Oh my God, big time.
Because you also do stand-up
time.
and you're a scientist who loves answers.
Yeah. I have chosen two of the worst things that one could choose.
Do you think you'll always be in science? Or if somebody just walked in here right now and was like, hello, you have a Netflix special and Madison Square Garden is sold out because of you, would you drop the mice? Brains?
I
Mouse
think
brains?
so, all my friends ask me this question all the time, and I have yet to find the answer.
Really?
Yeah, I have yet to find the answer. I do think I see myself pursue comedy more seriously, and if I could, spend my life being funny and write jokes and make fun of society, I'd fucking love that.
Okay, you'd rather
Yes.
do that than
I would, yeah.
than-
And it's only after I moved to New York that I realized that.
Ah.
Because New York comedy has been so rewarding. It's been so much fun. It's made me grow so much quicker as well. So I'm just really enjoying it. And every time, like, going on stage here is so much fun every time. So because of that, I'm like, you know what? I can actually see this being the thing I do. And comedy is science. I love science too, and I spent so much of my life doing that. But I could see that taking a step back.
So when was the moment when you realized that you wanted to do comedy?
Oh, this is such a dumb story, but when I went to Cambridge, I started out there doing my PhD, and one day there was this girl in my scholarship program. She was like, I do comedy. I'm from Portland. I want to get more women into comedy, so I'm putting on this workshop to get a professional comedian from London come in and do a workshop with just women. And then I was in a cohort with all these very ambitious women, and they were like, let's go, let's just do this. This will be fun. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we went to this thing, and I had already done like years of public speaking. So I knew that I could I'd always go on stage and be funny in my public speaking thing, but I never thought of that as comedy. It was like, it's a tool to break the tension is
Right.
how I always thought about it.
Yeah.
So then we go to this workshop, and she gives us some prompts to write some jokes. And each time we have to like stand up, do the bit, and then sit down. And every time I got up, I got laughed, and I was like, this is fun. And then at the end of the workshop, they were like, we do have a comedy show tonight. You can perform on it if you want. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll do that. So I went.
You were
yeah.
holding this mouse brain, and you were like, ah.
It was so silly.
Who was the comedian from London?
It's Katie Smurthwaite.
Oh.
She's on like BBC a lot. She's
Okay.
she's great. She's also like very feminist, and she gets in trouble a lot for that. I love her. She's great.
And so after that, you had the bug, as they say.
I had the bug. That like dopamine rush was crazy. It's like I got on stage and it was so easy, and I was like, whoa, I didn't have to do anything for this. I just
Wait. We don't want people to think what we do is easy, okay? Just because
I'm
for
just saying I
Cansu
got
it's
the
easy.
talent is what I was saying. What I was trying to sort of imply.
This is so much easier than having a PhD. Everybody out there listening who's going to college, what are you doing?
What are they doing? Yeah. I just love that so much. Also, in public speaking, what you always have to do is you have to make sure that the audience isn't offended, that they understand this is a dialogue. You build a bridge. And so you have someone be like, you and your people are a major problem in this country. And I have to be like, thank you for sharing that. And in comedy, I could just do the opposite and be like, you people suck. And then just take it from there. And that's kind of what I was talking a lot about my dialogue work and my public speaking time and on stage. And the cool thing in the UK, everyone understood what I was saying about when I talked about Denmark. If I was able to mention Denmark here, people would be like, what is that? Like a made up place in the world? I don't know. You might find this funny actually. First, when I moved to California, I met this girl at a hostel, and she was like, "Oh, are you from like abroad?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm from Europe. I'm from Denmark." And she said, "Is that like in North Carolina?" And I was like, "That's not abroad, but also no. Denmark is a country in Europe." And she said, "Oh my God, is it like a city in Germany?" I used to tell Danish people this, and I'd be like, "Yeah, pretty much. That's what Denmark is. It's like a city in Germany."
Yeah, that's so American.
Yeah.
I remember this one guy being like, "Yeah, I went to Europe this summer. I went to Brussels and I went to Belgium," and I was like, "You what? Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna let you think that those were two separate places."
It does really put me off when people are like, "So this, I went to Europe this summer. I went to London and I went to Norway." It's like, why is it? Why is it?
Yes, they all do that.
But they
It's
do.
so funny. And it's cute. It's really cute to see. I always think it's funny to see Americans like in train stations in Europe, and they're like so, you can tell they're like scared and nervous and excited. And but they're like, "Oh my God, I'm not in America. I'm not in the United States. Oh my God, here I go. Oh my God, everything's weird here." You know, they come back and they go, "How was it?" I used to have this friend whose brother lived in Korea, and I remember once I was like, "How does he like it there?" And she goes, "Well, he loves it, but you know, it's weird over there." And I was like, "Yeah, that's how they, a lot of Americans,
Wow.
like, it's nice, but it's weird. Obviously, it's weird because." Did you know that people don't speak English there? Does anybody here speak English? Like, that's the most American thing abroad
is.
ever.
Oh
A
my
crying
God.
girl who's like desperate because no one speaks English.
Gosh.
Cansu, I could talk to you for hours on end, but I want to know your favorite saying
My favorite saying.
because, sayings for me always illuminate a lot about the culture or the mentality of the people that use these sayings, I think, right? And you brought a Danish one.
I have a Danish one and a Turkish one.
And a Turkish one.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me the Danish one.
Okay. En fugl på hånden er bedre end 10 på taget. En fugl i
That
hånden.
sounds so made up.
En fugl
The
i
way you
hånden.
just said that too, that how you were like, and floopity boppity bongity bong. Yeah,
En fugl
that's
i hånden
Danish.
er bedre end 10 på taget. It means
We're just gonna believe you.
a bird in the hand is better than 10 on the roof.
Okay.
Do you guys have that saying?
2 in the hand is worth 3 in the bush. What is it?
A bird in the hand is worth more than 2 in the bush. That's what I've always heard.
You have that one. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's not a Danish saying. It's just one that we've heard, I guess.
Something in the bush.
It's yeah.
No, on the roof is
On
better
the
than the
roof.
bush.
But you said it's on the roof or
No,
on the bush?
in America
Bush.
it's the bush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The George W.
I-
No, the roof is good.
yeah.
And then what's the Turkish one?
The Turkish one is hilarious. Is gönül bu akada konar bokada, and that means it's love. If it's love, yeah, it's love. It'll fall on something white, or it'll fall on something no, it'll fall on grass or it'll fall on shit.
Wow. Meaning it'll fall on grass and grow.
No,
something?
as in like you can fall in love with something like good, and you can fall in love with something that's shit.
Wow.
You just can't control it.
Uh-huh.
That's what it says. Like I kind of butchered it a little bit, but that's
love it.
essentially what it is. Like you can fall in love with. It's like if you bring someone, let's say like 2 women are complaining about the woman that, or like the guy their daughter's gonna marry, right? And then the friend will go, well, it's love. It can fall on grass, it can fall on shit. Like, what are you gonna do? It's
Yeah.
kind of that way. Like, you can't control these things. She's gonna marry who she's gonna marry. It's kind of
I love it.
It's random.
It's good. It's good because it's funny. It like says something about the Turkish mentality, I think, right?
Just
it's like
generally like
humorous. of
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's so funny. Such funny people. Everything's a joke in Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is yours? Can I ask yours?
I have one that's supposed to be Kurdish.
Oh.
And it's, do you want to read it? This, there. Is that Kurdish?
Sayare balandiekem perieli marmasi. I don't know what this means.
It's supposed to mean my hovercraft is full of eels.
Hovercraft?
I don't even know what a hovercraft is. But hey.
What is it supposed to mean?
I don't know. They didn't tell me. It just says my hovercraft. It just said my hovercraft is full of eels. Is anybody listening that knows what this means?
Oh my god!
I'm guessing. Go ahead, Mike. Mike knows. Mike knows.
So
everything.
I just typed in my HOVE, and the first thing is my hovercraft is full of eels. Popped up. Yeah.
What?
Oh no! Please
It's
leave
used
us
in a
alone.
sketch about badly translated English-Hungarian phrasebook from a British TV comedy show, Monty Python's Flying Circus. So that's where it came from.
So it's
Monty
not
Python.
Kurdish.
I guess not. It's a TV trope, apparently.
I literally typed in Kurdish sayings, and this came up. This is insane.
It explains making a mistake that has been taught something rude by a mischievous native speaker.
Okay.
Well, what have we learned so far?
Google has schizophrenia, I think. I also found they didn't have the Kurdish translation of this, but I like these two. A visitor comes with 10 blessings, eats one, and leaves 9.
That's good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
good.
like it.
I'm not sure exactly what it means,
but it sounds good.
sounds good. And then even the highest tree has an axe
I understand it actually. Wait, sorry.
waiting at its
ahead.
foot. No, go ahead. What does it mean?
It means that, you know, when a guest comes to your house, it brings up like they bring value into your home. So
They bring
you know,
more than they take.
Exactly.
They only eat one blessing.
Yeah.
But you should have guests because they
Yeah.
bring more.
they bring more. Just their presence like
Yeah.
gives you more.
Yeah. Not my family. I'll tell you that much. And then this one, even the highest tree has an axe waiting at its foot. That's dark.
So we're all gonna end up in the same place. Is essentially
Yeah.
what that means.
Exactly.
We're all going back into the ground.
Yep.
I like that one.
Yeah,
That
chop your ass down.
Yeah, that does sound very Kurdish Kurdish. I would say always like humbling. Like don't go too high because we're all gonna die at the end.
Right.
So always like humbling.
Yeah.
A lot of our culture
I like
is
that
that way.
too. I like that
Yeah.
image. That's a good image.
It's a good
you
image.
know? Yeah. We've now come to the point of the podcast where I must ask you a series of questions to determine your visa status in the United States of America. No, this is the poll question.
You're secretly working for ICE. Yeah, this is when we find out.
Exactly. Come in now. Now. This is the poll questionnaire. It's quick. It's easy. First thing that comes to mind. Cansu, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. If you met an alien on the streets, the smelly streets of New York City, and you had to explain America to this alien in one sentence, what would you say?
Oh gosh, I would say it's a country where you just do whatever you want and try not to get caught.
I love that. If you had to make up a catchphrase for America, what would it be?
Oh boy, a catchphrase. Wait, what is a catchphrase?
It's like,
just my immigrant
just
me.
do it,
Oh,
right? That's a catchphrase.
I see. It would be
Yeah. I don't know anything anymore.
it would be run.
Great. If you had to eat one American person, who would you eat?
Oh damn. For good reasons or bad reasons?
Whatever. Or no
Eat.
reason.
Eat a person.
Okay, let's do
Wait.
this. If you had to dissect one American's brain
Oh.
for neurons, whose brain would you dissect?
Oh, I try to get a really interesting, intelligent person. Maybe Bill Gates.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be good too. We can get rid of him by now.
Yeah.
He's done enough.
Oh, Elon Musk.
Really?
I'd want to see how his brain works.
And also,
Also, exactly.
yeah, love it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Come on, Elon. Volunteer.
Volunteer.
Yep. I love that. What's the most Danish thing you've ever done?
The most Danish thing I've ever done. What is it? It must be putting potatoes on rye bread.
I love it. What's the most Kurdish thing you've ever done?
It's to man, right? These are hard. These are good questions, but they're hard.
Yeah, well, you want to be a citizen of the United States of America, you gotta work hard.
It's probably like banter, like bantering ruthlessly with my family. That's what we do, Kurdish people.
Okay. What's the most Turkish thing you've ever done?
Is hating Kurdish people.
What's the most American thing you've ever done?
The most American thing. I guess it's go running in the park. That feels very American.
Totally. Okay, last question. If you had to deport one American person, who would you deport?
Donald Trump.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And also the first person who said that. That's so
Really?
funny. Yeah. Because everybody's like, well, everybody's going to say Donald Trump, so I'm not going to say that. But,
Is it?
So
Oh,
nobody
no.
says it. No, but it's great. Finally.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Somebody is fucking deporting Donald Trump. Last question. Do you know how I can meet David Hasselhoff? You're a scientist. I'm hoping that you can scientifically...
I mean, we can look up his name and then just send him an email. That will be
on LinkedIn. I'm sure he's on LinkedIn.
I mean,
these
I have
days.
some clout. Like the lab I come from is like, my professor is a top-notch scientist. So just if sometimes I do have to pull that card and be like, so I'm in the lab of this guy.
You would do that for for me to meet David Hasselhoff?
I could do, yeah.
You would get your professor to email him?
I couldn't do that, but I would be like, I'm in the lab of this
you're
person.
Like, I must talk to you about something important. He's like, but I just found the cure to schizophrenia. You're like, put it away. Can you please email David Hasselhoff for my friend? Cansu, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. You are amazing. You're so funny. You're so fucking, smart and talented. And I love you. Where can people find you on the social media?
Yes, thank you for having me and for saying all those nice things. You can find me on Instagram at Cansudistat, CANSUDISDAT. I also have a podcast called Let's Hookah. On Instagram as Let's Hookah Podcast, but on Patreon or whatever else as just Let's Hookah. I run a show called Fuck It Up. It's centering and celebrating women of color, women and non-binary people of color, last Thursday of every month at Soho Playhouse.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I love it. Thank you for being here. Thank you. All hail the great, all-knowing Mike Albanese, who knows everything.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. I'm Lucie Pohl, your host. Please leave us a review. Give us a 5-star rating on the old iTunes. It helps so much. Really makes a huge difference. Check out the Patreon. Like, subscribe, Instagram. Send us an email at immigrantjam@gmail.com. Follow the podcast at Immigrant Jam Podcast on Instagram. Follow Cansu. Follow Mike. Follow everybody. Don't follow an old lady home. That's creepy. Thanks for listening. Good night.
If you liked what you just heard, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, recommend to all your friends. And if you hated it, recommend it to your enemies. Thank you for listening to Immigrant Jam, the podcast with me, Lucie Pohl. Have a delicious and nutritious day.